If she had only been ugly.
I think I say a few things, but doing a podcast myself for a little while, intermittently, not like yours, but yeah, many comics especially, they will go off on a rant and then a couple days later call. Remember when I said that thing? Could we not?
I had a guy, a comedian, say, not on this show, but on my show at night, that, hi, it's Tom Irrera, live
Yeah,
from
give
the Laugh
me a
Factory.
proper introduction or something, would you?
Like
Something.
I'd like
So
to
it feels
introduce a
like
guy.
show business.
Okay. I'd like to introduce a guy who is not only a terrific comedian, but a terrific actor. And we've known each other a long time, and we never had the chance to work with each other. And last week, we kind of fell in straight man love, singing Broadway hits and Beatles songs and Turtles. Tom Wilson, everybody. Tom Wilson.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
So, Tom, let's talk about Back to the Future.
All right, now back to our relaxed thing. But we're starting now. We're starting.
We already started.
Okay, it's already gone.
Like I said, anything you say that's so fucking stupid that you're embarrassed. You know who? The only one that wanted to edit anything out? The only one.
Who's that?
Jeff Ross.
Really?
Which was so funny because he's the one who does all the, how big Cloris
Of course.
How big Cloris Leachman's twat is and all this stuff.
He wanted to take something
We
out.
took stuff out for him. Nobody else.
Wow.
David Spade was up here and he goes, am I allowed to say that? I go, David, you can say anything. If you don't want to, we'll erase it. He goes, nah, we're fine.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the spirit of the podcast, really, isn't it? Kind of like, it's a different kind. I mean, it is a liberating sort of broadcasting.
I got to say, if you have something bad to say about somebody, here's the place. Here's the place.
Yeah.
Because I drop names.
Do you?
I'm not afraid to. I mean, I drop names that I don't like, and I do it on radio shows. They always love that when you say, because most people take the high road.
Yeah.
Go right down.
How has it ever come and bit you?
No.
Has it ever come and burnt you a little bit?
No.
No.
It's only about a couple people. I won't even name them again because of.
Don't even. It's all right.
Yeah. Like the stuff you were saying about the old days at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
You mind talking about that?
No, we can talk about that. I mean, look, like you, Dom. I think that stand-up comedians. Look. A lot of the young guys, I don't know. Old dude who's not in the comedy culture today. When I started out, it was for a very unusual segment of society.
Yeah.
Guys who were getting on stage and just saying what's on their mind and coming up with things. Mm. And that was an unusual thing then.
Well, it was an unusual time, too, because the Comedy Store in those days had a sense of danger about it.
It had a sense of danger.
It was a comedy club,
It was a nightclub.
People had guns and
Exactly.
knives.
People had guns and knives, and there were reports of broken legs and things. And I came in, you were very young too. I was 19 years old. I was performing in, nightclubs before I was legal to even actually be in the place.
Wow.
So that's really my entire adulthood.
Isn't that great, though?
Did
you ever have to work a job?
I worked a job just at the very, very beginning because I'm a big guy and you need some money and, like moving Oriental rugs.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say you were a bouncer.
I was a bouncer when I came out here then. But when I first came here, I started doing stand-up and, hey, it was... for a young guy, I wasn't making a lot of money, but you could do a show.
You made a living, yeah.
Right, you could do a show and buy food with the money.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that's unbelievable.
I remember saying to my wife, I was married at the time, and we were living in New York. They made $1,000, and I went, Lisa, made $1,000 fucking dollars. What more does anybody need?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because our rent was $250.
Yeah. But I was just a kid. I had all these checks from gigs and stuff that I was using as bookmarks. And they were just laying around.
And then what happened?
Then I met my now wife, Caroline.
She started cashing
who said, this bookmark is for $680 for something.
Right.
Oh yeah, maybe I should cash.
Were you a drinker in those days?
No, not really. I mean, I will I'll have a drink for Old Glory. Salute the flag.
Yeah. But you don't
sing a Lee Greenwood song, but I don't. I don't.
You don't have the Irish thing?
No, I don't have the Irish thing. I mean, I think I could.
I have it.
Do you really? Do you have the Irish thing and you were Italian?
And you know where I got it? Honestly, in Ireland. I really did. From going to Ireland so much, it made me a much heavier drinker. What's one stereotype that is totally true? They drink at a different level. It's social. It's biological. Whatever the fuck it is.
I think it's biological because I think by the time, look, I'm a big person. I'm a big guy, 6'3", 180, and
180.
about 180. My leg.
You're tight. How much you weigh?
I probably weigh 240, 250. I don't pay attention.
What
to that
comedians do you think in your prime? Is there anybody you think could beat you in a fight?
stuff. No.
I don't think so either.
No.
You have to say it like that.
No.
Harry Basil?
Harry definitely
Dressed as
could beat me.
Superman?
Yeah, Harry dressed as Superman at the end of his act when everyone's into him, and he's got it rolling,
get the adrenaline
and then he
up.
could take me. No, not really. I was pushed around a lot when I was a kid. I was very sick with asthma. I missed a lot of school. So late in high school, I was never an athlete or anything. Late in high school,
Yeah, I
just
thought you would have
grew
been a
up.
football player. Or
No,
something.
not at all. I was on the debating team. I played in the band,
I
but
know
I
you
missed a
played
lot
the
of
tuba.
school. I did play the tuba in the band, but I missed a lot of school. And then I was one of those kids that just grew over the summer, grew like 6 inches
Wow.
and 80 pounds.
The Hulk.
And so I have a weird little thing in my personality that once I was big, I never pushed anyone around. Didn't use it in any way, bully anyone. But I have this thing about people pushing me around.
You remember it.
I remember it very well, and I don't do well. I don't really do even well with like sharp words toward me. And, and I'm a nice guy. I get along with everybody, but that thing that's a little too sharp, I'm the first guy to go, well, excuse, no, what do you mean by that? Why don't you, so I just have a little thing. So when I came to LA, back to our point, this was a rough place.
Oh, yeah.
Comedy store down the street.
Really rough.
The back parking
People would
lot
have
had-
no idea.
Guys were pushing me around. I mean, literally
Really?
pushing me. Oh, I almost got in a couple fist fights within the first week of being
They
here.
pushed you around because you were a big guy, you think?
Because I was big
test
and I
you?
was a kid, exactly. And I'm in the back parking lot, and somebody, I won't give names, but
Name names.
All right.
This is the place to name names. This is the petty podcast.
Dave Tyree came up, and he goes,
Fucking.
and he pushes me like pushes me kidding, but hard enough that
Right.
he move. And, I just go, pushing contest. I love pushing contests.
Yeah, right.
And I send it back 10 feet. And then, and all these parking lot guys, and, the parking lot was that
Yeah.
social center.
Right, of course.
And
Drug dealing and-
yeah, and all that stuff. So then it was just like, and I don't mean, believe me, I'm the last guy to do and I'm a tough guy and I came in. But in that area, you had to come in there and say, look, I'm not fooling around here. So nobody push me around. I just do my little show. You do your little show and we're fine.
Isn't it ironic, and I'm sure you've been told this before, because you are a gentle guy and a good guy, that you would have ended up, your first big part in a movie was a bully?
It's more ironic than could ever be described.
Because it really wasn't you, huh?
It was absolutely the opposite of me.
Wow.
Absolutely the opposite of me. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I'll tell you a little story that the first audition for the first Back to the Future, and what happens in auditions, they'll pair you up with people.
What was the name of the character?
Biff,
Biff.
the bully. Yeah. Did you actually forget?
I wanted you to say it.
But so I'm auditioning, and they'll pair you up with people. Hey, you two guys go out there and you prepare it and come back in. The first guy I was paired with was Crispin Glover, the actor.
Right.
So Crispin,
He played the father, right?
he played, the father and the son, George
Yeah.
McFly. We ended up to actually go all the way through the casting process together.
Wow.
And get cast. But the first time we ever did it, we get the pages, and we're looking at the parts and everything, and so we start. We go out behind a hedge somewhere. Let's just work on it a little bit.
I'm still laughing at pushing contest. I'm sorry. Oh, you want a pushing contest?
Yeah,
Tough guy.
I'm pretty good at that. Push.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But so we go around anyway. To make a long story short, sorry, but I do this whole, hey McFly, you got, and he just like went. I don't know. He became this character, but honestly, it was like staring at myself when I was in high school.
Oh, wow. That's heavy. Yeah.
It was like he just became this like fearful thing, like trying to laugh a little bit. Like,
So did you change when you got big? Did it change you? I mean, did you like your mental image changed once you got big, or were you still?
I think honestly it took me into my maybe late 30s to
Really?
really get used to being a big guy.
No kidding.
And just be comfortable in it, you know, and
Yeah.
be comfortable in my own skin and say, this is what I am. I'm a big person. I'm a large caliber human being.
Yeah.
My voice is like bigger than other people's. You know, when I talk, people in a restaurant go like, geez, what's the big guy? Well, that's the way I talk. So.
See, I honestly thought, because we never worked together that much, and we knew each other politely, and we knew each other from Philly, but we didn't really hang. And but I always thought you were a pretty tough guy. You know what I mean? So I didn't know that part of you. You know, I mean, I knew you were on stage. I knew you could be silly and play the tuba and all that stuff.
Right.
But I would not that I yeah, you know, not that I fuck with anybody anyway. But I would never fucked with you.
I think I think maybe, yes, I was a very quiet and sensitive person when I was young, and I really feel that I'm still that person. Like I said before, I do have a very acute sense about bullies, and I don't like them.
Yeah, me
and I
neither.
don't put up with them. And if we're gonna, you know, if something's gonna happen with me, yes, it's gonna happen with a bully where I say, hey, knock it off. And thank God, honestly, Dom, they've always knocked it off.
Oh.
You know, they always have, because I can be pretty convincing about it.
Well, I mean, I'm not a big guy, but I did. The last two fights I had in high school were both, not to say I'm such a great person, but sticking up for bullies.
But that's the
But
thing,
it's
isn't
like
it? I mean,
sticking
that's-
up, not sticking up for bullies, sticking up for guys that were
Right,
being bullied.
that's right.
There's one guy. You remember the subway, in Philly, the cars that would go into the subway, like the 34 and them. Do you remember them?
Sure, sure.
And I remember being down at the station, like 11th Street near Wanamaker's, and this guy was going, "Hey, faggot, hey, fag." And he was doing this to this guy,
To another guy.
to a gay guy
Yeah.
who was like, you know, one of the first gay guys I ever saw with like orange highlights in his hair.
Yeah.
And you know, he's not bothering anybody. These fucking guys do. So I start doing it to him. I go, "Hey, how do you like it, huh?" He goes, "What are you fucking crazy?" I go, "What do you think, huh?" You know, and then the cops came, and it was kind of cool. I just got on the train and waved to him. He said, "Excuse me, sir, officer, this young man was bothering this homosexual." You know, like, "You motherfucker!" And the kid was crying and all. But
Yeah.
it was one of the last fights I was ever in.
If I had an award, I'd give it to you. But
Thank
that's,
you.
look,
No, but I mean, I
that's the
can't
right
stand
thing.
that. Yeah.
That's the right thing, and that's what, you know, we both, I'm sure, have stories about that.
Yeah.
But like, look, yeah, I'm a big guy, and there have been many times on the trains or on or on places where somebody's getting bullied. Look, okay, I'll be the guy to stand up and go, "Hey, stop, right now, okay? You're done with him. Now you're dealing with me. So knock it off, or or it'll happen."
Like that. You know what I like about it too is because I came from the days of a lot of wuss comedians who talked about their mothers, and it's like, and so it's like fun to be like a real man who's also a comedian, who's also funny. You know what I mean? It's like, because I mean, I came along before you, but I was in New York, so I started with a bunch of guys, and like I loved a lot of the guys, but they are kind of sissy-ish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then we started getting like, I mean, now of course we got like Rogan and guys who are killers.
Right.
But you know,
Right.
the landscape's completely changed.
It was a very unusual, melting pot of personalities.
Well, when we had our days of Kennison and Angel Salazar and all that crap
Right.
going on, that was
Right.
amazing.
Right. And as you know, Sam and I didn't get along, and there are many.
I didn't know that till last week, actually.
Yeah, we didn't get along because God
Sam-
rest his soul. We're Catholics. We could say that. God rest his soul. God bless Sam. Now we can say whatever. We
It's a disclaimer.
no, we didn't get along because there was a pushy element. We had a gang of thugs
Yeah.
that were taking the place over, and hey, that's
A weird
wasn't
time,
good.
wasn't it? Wasn't it?
It was a very
if
weird
the
time.
public ever knew what it was like behind those scenes with the porn stars and the coke and everything, and it was crazy because it wasn't like a place of joy. It was a place of like,
Dom, it was a place of real, I mean, human, pain and degradation.
Danger and
It was bad. It was very seriously bad.
yeah.
It was even evil. Let's not. We don't have to open the whole that drawer, but it was bad news, and it was taking.
Domini, you're all Catholics
Yeah, we're
now.
all Dominican, but yeah, it was bad news,
Yeah,
and
it was an interesting part of my life. I know, because I thought to myself, I didn't come from that. Like I said, I came from New York, the Improv in New York, and it was much. There was not that physical danger. Fucking guns. Who the fuck has guns as comedians?
at the Comedy Store here in L.A.,
Yeah.
I was carrying brass knuckles in my jacket
Oh, jeez.
because I truly expected to be jumped,
Right.
by like 3 guys.
Yeah.
At any time. It's an amazing thing to say, but it's absolutely true. I was working at the place and walking around, and I always just thought it might happen.
Well, they called themselves the Outlaws, so that might have indicated something.
It's the biggest joke though, Dom, and I don't mean, it's the Outlaws, really. Outlaws, they were the biggest wusses that anyone.
Mitch Walters.
Exactly. These Outlaws, come on, man. Outlaws.
Outlaws my ass,
It's
as my
just
Uncle Tony would say.
ridiculous. Yeah, there were outlaws who went to Cantor's and had matzo ball soup.
Now, did you
at 3
think
o'clock in the
Sam was funny?
No.
Oh, I did.
Well, I thought it was a good hook. It was he got
The
a
screaming
hook.
was- yeah.
The screaming was a hook. The rest of it I found very derivative. I think there were shades of many other comedians in that material. There were a lot of switches. There was Blake Clark lines. There were many, many lines, and you had.
See, I didn't know that because I just when I came out here, he was still going on late, but he had a rep. He had a rep in New York for this wild new guy from Texas with the screaming.
Yeah.
You
Hey, to me, look, it's America, man. You can get up. The amazing, wonderful thing is on this stage, you can get up and do whatever you want. You can get up
long
and
as
do
it's
whatever.
funny, or you hope it's
It worked
funny.
in front of people. It worked. I'm not saying it was. It's not for me. It was for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It did very well. It did probably better than I've done in stand up. But I'm still going to do my thing on stage, and you could do yours, and he could do his.
Who did you watch in those days? I don't want to sound too much like a journalist, but by the time I got out here, I was like, I already had my image of comedy from New York. But you came right. You didn't do Philly at all, right?
I did Philly a lot.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So
when did you start doing stand up? What year?
1980.
1980. I started in 79.
Okay, well.
Yeah, I was in New York, but I was in Philly. I was doing the comedy. Back then, it was called the Comedy Factory Outlet.
Oh, you did the outlet?
I did the Jailhouse.
How do we not run into each other?
I don't know, but the Jailhouse.
You're one of the only
and
Philly
Tiffany
comedians.
Room. There's.
Did you do Going Bananas?
I was gone by the time Going Bananas was up. Barney's Club.
Barney Weiss.
Yeah, Barney Weiss's club.
Mark Schiff got me that gig.
Oh, really?
I was held over for 3 weeks in a row at $300 a weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Can you imagine the fucking money he was making?
Oh,
it was
man.
packed. It was all my cousins and my sister and her friends, my mother and her friends.
Yeah, but then the Comedy Factory Outlet and the Comedy Works split in this big political. Big political.
Steve Young with the cape.
And Steve Young, and then whatever Grover Silcox and the other guys went to the Comedy Factory Outlet.
Oh, the schism.
The big schism, yeah. And and I was a part of the whole thing. So I had these meetings, and the Comedy Factory Outlet guys told me, I was very young, I was maybe 19 years old. And the Comedy Factory Outlet guys in Philadelphia said, look, if you want to work anywhere else, you're not going to work here.
This was Clay Irrera?
Yeah. Well, Clay, the first time I ever went to an open mic.
What they call him, Mr. Mean or Uncle Dirty or no, it wasn't Uncle. Remember that he had like a nickname, John DeBella. He used to call him that.
Yeah, I was out here by then or out in New York, but yeah, the Comedy Factory Outlet said if you work anywhere else but here, you're not going to work here.
I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. And Steve at the Comedy Works said, I don't care, you can work anywhere, and then work here whenever you work. So I was like, okay, I'll work for there.
So did you know Saget in those days?
Yeah, I knew Bob. Yeah, Bob was tremendous comedian. I mean, I saw all those guys. I mean, Larry Miller and Paul Reiser and Seinfeld.
Reiser got me to Comedy Works once. You know how you never forget who got you stuff?
Yeah.
Reiser got me to Comedy Works and Pips. I couldn't pass an audition at Pips, but then Reiser told them I was good, so they passed me.
Really?
Even though they didn't like me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I remember I worked with Eddie Murphy there when he hadn't been on Saturday Night Live. He'd gotten fourth place in the New York comedy competition.
Right, he was like 19. Right?
Yeah, he was a kid
and
came in with an entourage.
I know.
He had guys with him, and he really didn't have any gigs yet. And
hilarious. He thought he was Elvis already.
Look, he had his energy on stage was amazing. He took me aside. We're both maybe 19 years old, and he's all grandly saying, "Listen, you are going to make it big. You have a lot of talent, and you're going to make it big. And when you do, you remember that Eddie Murphy was the first person that said that." And it was nice when you're a kid to hear something like that.
Yeah, of course.
But also you're thinking, what the ego of this guy's
Oh,
amazing.
the egos are crazy.
I mean, thrillingly, not bad. I mean, wow, to have that kind of an absolute confidence.
Yeah, well, that's part of his acting. It's part of why he's such a good actor. And he's not a really good stand-up. Part of it was because he was such a great actor, he never had a chance to develop, I felt.
You mean on stage, just the stage time?
Yeah,
he was off doing a movie.
Yeah, he didn't
I think that's true.
Yeah, he didn't have the chops. I mean, but he's certainly a talented guy. I mean, I think that's. And can you imagine how fearful it would be to come back now with all these good kids? Like Tony Rock, Chris's younger brother, is terrific. I don't know if you've seen him lately, but there's so many guys that these guys they do it every night. It was part of the Michael Richards freaking out because he just wasn't that good.
Yeah, but Michael did Michael's whole thing, back when I was first out here, 1981, Michael would get on stage and at the Comedy Store in Westwood, which used to be a club called Ledbetter's.
I remember the Westwood Club. It was just wrapping up when I got out here.
Yeah, so John Denver had played there, and Jefferson Airplane.
Oh,
I mean, he's saying
singing.
before the Comedy Store took it over. It was a place called Ledbetter's. Then it was the Comedy Store, and Michael Richards used to go on stage, and Michael's a sketch comedian.
Yeah.
He was on Fridays on ABC,
Right.
the knockoff Saturday Night Live show and everything.
Yeah.
But Michael never did what you could describe as stand-up. Michael did a freak performance artist show. He took apart, women's purses. He actually went to the back booths in the club with the crowd there and disassembled them. Took the couches off and put them out in the street. Did all sorts of unusual things.
Yeah.
Really tried to get
a real
in
writer.
Yeah, well, trying to get in fights with people on stage, like no matter what the ethnic group, no matter what they were, he was trying. Yeah, he was trying to do a performance piece that was starting a riot. So right here in this room is where it happened.
Yeah.
Where he had hecklers right up there.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's right at all. It's wrong. He shouldn't have done that. It's wrong to do.
He did a thing on Jews a month before, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He was doing like a piece that was literally trying to
Provoke.
He wanted chairs to be flying across the room. He wanted it. That's what he liked.
How about the apology? That was hilarious.
Right.
Remember when they didn't, because the rest of the United States didn't know what happened. So Jerry goes on, and they think he's kidding. He goes on Letterman. And then Michael apologized, and they were like kind of laughing. And Jerry goes, "It's not funny." And I'm thinking, yes, it is. It's fucking funny.
Yeah. So I guess my point is, that was, I really don't think that was like Michael Richards getting angry at people in the audience and, and insulting them. I think it was a guy in an improvisational character piece that was just trying, what could I say, what could I do that could just create chaos and blow the roof off this
Well, he
place.
kind of carried it too far.
He did, of course he did.
And the thing is, I think that, I agree with you to a point, but I also think it had to do somewhat with the really strong young comedians they have here now. Because there was a lull. You know how any kind of art goes, it fluctuates? Well, there was a lull. And there was one point, and I never thought I'd say this sentence, that Paulie and I were the only ones at the store that were doing any TV. How sad is that, right? Yeah. This is like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And you were gone. You were long gone. You weren't coming around there at all.
No. I've spent 10 years there, and, that was it.
But anyway, there's a lot of really good guys now. The probably you haven't seen because, like you were saying to me last week, you rather give the younger guys the spots on the weekends and you go out and work. And I understand that. It's
Well,
cool.
yeah, I mean,
I'm not like that because for me, I have to work to keep sharp. I mean, you probably have a different approach to it that you can, and you have a family, and and that's important, and you have time for them too. All I have is an act and an X.
but it's sharp. It's sharp. Tom.
Thanks,
You
Tom.
keep it sharp, which is
You did.
that's the
Where's the
important
fuck
thing.
is my- whoa, there it
right,
is.
right there. I mean, why raise kids and love your wife if you can really have a good set?
It's so
That's what
sad.
I've always said.
I think that's what I really did. You're kidding. You're talking about my life.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I work a lot. I work enough for me as a comedian to work on new things, to do things that are interesting to me. But the going up every single night at the showcase clubs like here in LA, I do feel like, look, I remember when I was 19 and the guy from the movie or the TV show would come and do a long set
Well, yeah.
and push all of our sets back. And you're
But
thinking,
you can call in.
yeah,
If you wanted to. I mean, it's your choice. I mean, I'm telling you, I have to do it to keep sharp. If you don't feel like you have to, it's better because you give more nights off. I try and work at least 4 nights a week. I don't work. I never work during Monday Night Football season
on Monday night, you mean?
or Sunday night because they have football.
Yeah.
Football is more
So that
important.
crowds, then you have, what, 5 nights? It fits 4 shows.
What do you mean?
If you're doing 4 times a week, Sunday and Monday nights, that cuts out. So then you're doing the weeknights, right?
Oh yeah,
All the time.
all the time.
That's all right.
Can't help
You're
it.
very sharp.
If I ain't good now, Tom, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna tweak in next week.
You're doing very well.
He really got good. I wish I could have seen your whole act. I thought you were terrific, but I only saw you for about 15 minutes at the end of one set. Tom was at the Tropicana, where our friend Harry Basil is also a comedian and was part owner or books the place with Jamie Masada. And you remember Jamie Masada? The audience by proxy kind of voted him off the show. He used to be on my show.
Oh, really?
He didn't get the idea of being on a talk show and a host. Fraser Smith was on the show. You know Fraser?
Sure.
And Fraser was on the show, and Jamie goes, "Shut up, Fraser. I have to say this." I go, "Jamie, you can't tell your guests to shut up on a talk show."
Right.
Right? He just didn't fucking get it.
Yeah.
And that was the one. I don't know if I told you this last week, but people don't know nationalities, don't know accents. And Jamie's a Jewish Iranian, went through Israel, came here. And I was getting tweets, "Dom, you're really funny, but you got to lose the little Mexican." The little Mexican.
The little Mexican. Yeah.
Because he's tan, Or,
Yeah.
But anyway. So you're not going to come back to these places, huh? Have no intention?
I don't think so.
You don't need to.
No. I mean, Dom, I did it for a period of like many decades.
I
mean,
know.
decades. I did it 7 nights a week, many shows per night, 7 nights a week for maybe 20 years in there. So I do a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
and I work the stuff on the road, and that's fine. I don't. I never quite loved the back parking lot. You know what I mean? I never.
What, at the store?
I just think, yes. I think temperamentally or personality-wise, I've always felt I'm what's wrong with this picture.
You don't fit?
I just didn't feel that I fit in, and that's, like I said, that's okay, man. People could do what they do. I could do what I do.
Yeah.
But I came from a theater background. I was doing theater in New York and studying acting. Unlike a lot of guys, I started acting. I got into stand-up, and I applied, theatrical principles to the stage, to my writing, to all of those things. And I've taken great satisfaction in it, but that hanging out by the back ice machine with the guys, it just it's not.
Excuse me, yeah. Those days are gone.
Yeah,
I actually had the same kind of experience as you as starting out in theater. starting out in improv, going to theater, going back to improv, commercials, and then stand up. Stand up was the last thing I did.
Yeah.
And it was about the money. I liked working with people. I'd rather play basketball than tennis, but I liked, the
Look,
money.
I was studying in New York, and I thought, when you're you're a kid and you have talent, I'm walking the streets of New York thinking, I'm God's gift to acting. Just wait, world. Just wait.
Yeah.
And I
You'll
thought,
see.
yeah, I thought that it would be in theater or musicals, singing, that kind of stuff. And life has some surprises in store.
Tom
for all
has a
of us.
great voice, by the way, which was really fun. The other night we were singing, and he stands up like he's Tevye. He starts singing.
Well, you got to bring
That was
a
fun.
little bit of theater to karaoke.
Yeah.
You can't just sing it sitting on a sofa. But
That's what makes you a performer, mister.
that's right. Hey, don't go halfway. If you're gonna do
Harry certainly didn't.
no,
Harry Basil, we were talking about. We both love Harry. He's so fucking goofy, and he was like walking on the couch, and he had his socks off, and he's like he was singing Sinatra or something. Then he actually ended by closing the door behind us with this dramatic ending.
but that is the beautiful part of show business, isn't it?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I think people at their house do that when no one's at home.
Yeah.
They do that. The weird part is
We get to do it, but with talent.
we do it in front of people anywhere.
Right.
I say that thing that you would do in secret, I'll just do, in front of a million people. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's the fun of it.
Now, how did you take the tuba on the road with you?
I did.
That must have been a pain in the ass.
I did for 10 years, almost 10 years. I took it everywhere. I
That's
had a
funny in
big
itself
case.
to have an act with a tuba.
Well, I actually played the tuba in the band. So
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
starting to do stand-up. And I'm starting to do stand-up and, okay, talking. Hey, you ever notice this? And you're talking. And I thought, well, let me do something else, If it gets long, literally, I
Well,
just
that's certainly different.
Yeah. So he said, I have a tuba and I can play it. I'll try it. I'll see. And it's one of those, it just worked. It just worked.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
kind of it's a double-edged sword. You're thinking, yeah, it's good that it worked, but now I probably have to carry this tuba around wherever I go.
That's the downside. Did you check it, or you got a
I
seat
checked.
for it?
No. I checked it. I had a big case
Okay.
with straps and everything, and I checked it. For a while there,
There's a British guy around who does cello.
Jim Tavares,
Yeah.
right? Jim's great. Jim is very funny.
Yeah,
and
he's
takes
funny.
the big double bass and he plays
that what it is?
Yeah. So he plays that. When I stopped playing the tuba on stage, probably 1980, 90, 91, around there.
Wow.
There were two other acts out there in the country somewhere playing the tuba in their act.
Oh.
So it was just fun. Look, I've always.
They
it's
were
just-
relieved.
I think they were relieved to
There's
get rid
one
of
less
me.
guy.
Yeah. I played the tuba in my first set on the Tonight Show.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, you were Johnny then.
I was with Johnny. I played it on the Tonight Show. Johnny said, you're the first tuba player we've ever had on the show. And I said, no, that's not right, Johnny. He said, what are you talking about? I was like, I watched the show, Johnny. First of all, you had Roger Bobo, the tuba soloist of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, who I watched on
You're
the show.
correcting Carson?
Exactly. And he's, what? And I said, you had the tuba player for the Coast Guard band in Alaska. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I watched the show, Johnny. There was a whale.
You must have been getting good laughs on this.
Yeah, there was a whale that came into this inlet, and the whale got lost. The whale couldn't find its way. Right. So the whale is breaching and everything. It's upset. It's in this bay, and they're trying to lead it out with boats, and the whale will not follow them out to the ocean. Absolute truth. The guy from the tuba player from the local Coast Guard band, he puts the tuba in back of the rowboat, rows out to the middle of this inlet, and starts playing the tuba. The whale calms down, starts swimming in a circle around the rowboat, and the guy rows it out to the ocean,
Wow.
playing the tuba, rows it out, and the whale just follows the boat out to the sea. Of course,
The best tuba story I ever heard.
it gets into the news. He comes down, the guy's on the Johnny Carson show, plays with Doc Severinsen and the NBC Orchestra, and Johnny's eyes light up and says, I remember that.
That's great.
You know, so I corrected Carson on the
That's
Tonight
cool
Show.
that you were on panel.
Yeah, it was good. It was he was very nice to me. Very nice to me.
Yeah.
A very gracious guy.
Yeah, he was nice to me too. It was cool.
I always thought people, I mean, I didn't read the book. There's a book out about him by somebody, you know, gossipy book or whatever. People always wanted, more out of him than he would offer. I found him a very nice man, who was kind to me, who had me on the show a number of times. It was very nice.
He talked to me like I was a peer, which made me laugh because he said, they're a little tight out there, He's talking about the audience and, wow, you're talking to me just like I'm like
Isn't that amazing?
another comedian.
Yeah. Well, that kind of stuff would happen with Johnny Carson. I did a benefit once with Phyllis Diller. She did the same kind of thing.
Oh, really?
Watch over there. And I said some wisecrack, and Phyllis Diller gave that big guffaw.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm in show business. Phyllis Diller, just, she's treating me like a comedian, and I got her to laugh.
Yeah, that's cool. I had a couple experiences like that with guys like Red Buttons and Sid Caesar.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, to me, it was like so legendary to have part of my life with them. I used to do a lot of the roast.
Yeah, sure.
I was the young guy on the roast, and they really treated me well. They didn't treat me like I was trying to take their spot.
Right.
Kinda,
I think those guys were all. I mean, I was always treated well by those. Rip Taylor, once of all people. Rip
I
Taylor.
never met him.
I mean, what a fun guy, nice man. But he just does. He does one-liners and throws confetti over everyone. He does jokes with his toupee.
Can't write a punchline.
Right. So he does this set before me. I think it was Vegas, some benefit somewhere, and he's just and he's throwing things at people and everything. And he comes off on stage to me, and I'm on, and he comes off on stage because watch the guy in the third row with this table, table 26.
Right.
He's got it. He's very uptight and everything. Goes, how did you notice between throwing
so
glitter on
wacky.
everyone? Yeah, exactly.
Who was your favorite comedian when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, by the time I was a teenager, I was watching the Tonight Show when Steve Martin kind of took everyone by storm.
Yeah.
And I was following because you remember, the radio stations still do it now, but in Philadelphia, one of the stations had, on Sunday night, they would play comedy albums. So they would play long pieces of Robert Klein or even Lenny Bruce, those kind of things. And so, I was keeping track and, watching the Flip Wilson show and seeing the young comedians and all that. So it was David Steinberg, Robert Klein, that kind of intellectual New York comic. But then Steve Martin, this is before the arrow in the head, before the white hair.
Steve Martin reminds me of Steve Odekirk, or Steve Odekirk reminds me of him, that wackiness.
Yeah, I think so. I think Steve Odekirk would certainly take it as a great compliment. But I think you're right. But it was just so, it would be impossible, I think, to communicate to today's audience how kind of countercultural that kind of silliness was.
Oh, yeah.
Post-Vietnam era,
Right.
post all these observational New York comics in a suit and tie.
It's just to be totally silly.
And a guy comes out just goofy.
Yeah.
Just goofing off. And, of course
Funky
it was
Todd.
planned out, but it just looked like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm just goofing off.
Yeah.
I'm a rambling guy. I come out playing the banjo, and I kind of don't stop playing the banjo, and I'm Johnny, and that phony showbiz, like, hey, Johnny, hey, Sammy Hills Jr., and doing this stuff, and you're like, this guy is just fooling around.
Yeah, he was very funny.
But yeah.
I was so disappointed because I interviewed him for at a show at a Comedy Central thing for the award shows, and Steve Martin, I fucking love him, and I still love his work, but he was like twice he was smug with me, and my thing is, just don't do the fucking interview, you know, just say no. But like he was like acting real slick, and like I'm thinking, Steve, your act, which I loved, was predicated with an arrow through your head.
Right.
That's one of the first things I ever remember. And yeah, you're slicking it. Then I got like Gary Shandling and Jerry Lewis, and all these guys were just having fun, and they were great with me.
Yeah.
But I was so disappointed.
I think Mary Mary Steenburgen, pardon me, was in the third Back to the Future. Wonderful lady. We got to work together a whole bunch on the movie. And she is a friend of Steve Martin. I'm a huge Steve Martin fan.
Yeah.
I'm saying, Mary, I promise I won't gush, I won't be weird, but you got to invite me to a thing. You know, I'd like to just say hi, invite me to a barbecue. And she said, you won't get out of it what you'd like. You know, you won't take away that moment, that thing that you would like to take away from it, because it's
Yep. I tell people that about. I said, like certain guys, like Seinfeld, who I love, is not as open as his character is on the show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jerry is Jerry, and I can't. I have nothing but affection for him, but he's a little bit aloof. You know, and he knows it. And he like my thing with a guy like him, we go enjoy their work because meeting them might disappoint you.
But Dom, you know, look, I will cop to aspects of my personality being unusual.
I will not
It's-
hear this, Tom.
it's
Not
a
on this
bu-
podcast.
Look,
That's bullshit.
That's
bullshit.
This is a
There's nothing.
very huge universe of oddballs out here.
No,
you know?
I will not. You will not say that about yourself on the show. I'll fucking edit it out.
Really?
Yeah, I will not
All right,
have
cut
it.
out that part.
All right,
where
now
I
let's talk
said
about
I'm-
Back to the Future.
Okay, more questions
Something-
about it. You know, which reminds me, I was in the time machine itself. No, I wish I had better stories about it because I could go
because it was
to-
such a big deal.
I could go to story A or story B
Yeah.
or the funny time when the
Right.
thing spilled all over Christopher Lloyd. But I really don't because I was pretty young and I was trying to do well and not get fired.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
I was just trying to not bump stuff into stuff, guys, wires. I was trying to just like
Sure.
be good at it and try to take feedback and listen to the director when he's saying, why don't you try this and actually have it apply? And I was doing all that stuff. I wasn't paying attention to the funny stories.
Well, you were great in it.
Thank you.
I was in Big Lebowski, right? And this is so funny how naive people are. They go, I had a couple calls of people going, you know, they're doing Big Lebowski too. Why don't you call the Coen Brothers? See if they'll put you in it.
Of
Yeah.
course. Of
Hey,
course.
hey, that's a
just
good
give a
idea.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Dom Irrera. Yeah. Listen, you got anything for me in this movie? No, it doesn't go with the script? Oh. Well, can you just like put me in anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Everybody, even people in town here kind of have that. Like, hey, maybe he'll put you in, you know?
Yeah,
He's-
right.
You know, blah, blah, blah. He's doing a new movie. Maybe he can, you know, like how many years can we say like they will put in who they think will be best right on that day
Right.
for that part in that movie?
I mean, I was doing a thing for Bruce Willis, and we were doing a birthday thing and a thing for he was getting the Cinematech Award, whatever it was, big award, and this girl asked me if would give Bruce her picture and resume, waitress in New York. I go, I'm not going to wait.
When you give him the award,
Yeah, right.
when you hand it to him, just put this like under the award.
But I said to her, do you understand that I don't want to waste your time and waste your picture? I said, he's an actor. He's not a casting director. He doesn't sit around the house casting. He has kids. What the fuck, you know?
Right, right. No, who do you? I mean, I've never known anyone to do that. To just look at a thing and just by that picture,
No.
they did theater in Parsippany. I think there's a part.
Wow,
in the
Natalie
movie
needs
for
a
it.
nightie. Wonder what part she played.
But to me, it's a little bit. And I understand it because when I was a kid, I probably would have done the same thing. But I think it's a little disrespectful of the people who want to put the work and the time in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it is a way of life. You know, it's a profession that most people, like yourself, like me, people have worked very, very hard over a long period of time to work in this industry. And really, a couple of kids hit the jackpot. You can definitely spin the wheel and win $1 million, and of course, get your life all messed up and all that stuff. But
Ray Romano hit the jackpot.
Right, but for the most part, people sort of respect the art of what they do, work hard at it, and make a reasonable living at it if they're talented enough.
Yeah.
Which is why on all those shows, you know, all the TV shows where the young singers are getting disrespected by the judges, they're doing them a great favor because you're just saying you should do something else.
Right.
You have to go home and you have to find out something else you're talented in. because this isn't it.
Yeah, must be weird. I love with people when they go, like there's so many people that want to do stand-up comedy. It's unbelievable. And last night I was did this thing with Tom Papa. I think I told you about.
Yeah.
And somebody was. I went to the bar to get a drink, and the guy recognized me, and he said, "What's your advice for comedians?" And I told him what my advice was. I was thinking, you know, there's so much to it. The odds are so against you, you know. But then what are you gonna do? Break somebody's dreams?
But as you know, Dom, though, if it's available to you and it's available to me, you can do it. I mean, it's just way harder than anybody thinks.
Oh yeah.
If you want to put the work in and you have a talent for it, you can do it. I'm not a negative guy at all. I think everybody should do it.
I just think it's funny for people who are not even that funny, think they should be a comedian. I remember like asking this one guy. He goes, I said, "Were you like really funny in school?" He goes, "No, not particularly. At home, you crack your family." No.
But you want to be a comedian.
Yeah, right. It's like, I really like to be a professional basketball player, even though I'm too old, too short, too slow.
Yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than that,
But because it seems easy. It
well,
seems
because
like,
you're
how
just
tough is it?
talking. You know,
Right,
you're
just
not even.
talk- It's a guy with a microphone. How tough is it? You could do
Yeah.
that.
If you see Eric Clapton play and you see the ease in which he does it, you know, unless you're an idiot, you got to know that's a really high level of guitar
Right.
playing, really high level.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to go, I could do that shit. But with this, you're right. You're just talking.
You're just talking. You know, and no one would just buy a Red Sox jersey and walk up to Fenway Park and say,
Right.
if it's possible, I'd like to pitch today.
Yeah.
And they go, what do you mean? Well, I do have the shirt and the arm feels good. You know,
I'm well rested.
It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
So for this, you know, you have to respect it and do the work, and success is available to talented people who want to work hard. But I think it's good that it's that hard because people can try it and go home.
Yeah. You ever watch open mics?
I haven't for a while now, but I watched. Me and Robert Aguayo, we ran the open mic down the street here.
I don't think I knew him.
Well, early '80s. He and I kind of ran the, Monday night the open mic.
Did Mitzi come in?
Store. Pardon me?
Was Mitzi coming in then?
Oh yeah, she was there all the time.
Yeah, because Jamie's hit and miss with coming in.
Yeah.
They all seem so sad. They were on last night, and one girl, she opens up, but she goes, "Well, I'm a Jew," and that was her first joke. I'm a Jew. And she did a couple things about my mother says I'm too ugly to be raped or something. Some joke, you know, I don't know. That sounds like an Ian Edwards joke, but I mean, like, just everything was sad. I was thinking, there's no joy to your comedy, even like mock joy.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they're like, oh God, I felt so bad for them.
But they should quit if they can't. You know, they should quit.
They should quit.
I mean,
yeah.
it should be hard enough. I had years ago, when you were first in town, Jimmy Walker was doing a lot of shows, a lot of road, and he would whatever the new talent was in town, he would have a meeting with you. Do you want, you know, and see if you could write for him. So I ended up writing stuff for him. I mean,
really?
Jay Leno wrote for Jimmy.
Yeah, I knew that.
Letterman wrote for Jimmy. And like all, you know, so many people who came into town. So I'm writing jokes for Jimmy. I wrote him a rap album.
Really?
Called, yeah, I wrote
ahead
Jimmy
of its
Walker.
time, huh?
There's an album called Captain Funkicize, where he is doing a rap about fitness that that I wrote on. Anyway, so we go out to dinner, and you know, to find out about me and kind of stuff, and he said, "Yeah, worst thing that ever happened to comedy was guys getting paid after the strike." Because this was early, you know, after the strike had happened.
Jimmy
here.
said this?
Jimmy said this. And me.
He was making a lot of money.
Right. But me being, you know, sort of Les Miserables, like, you know, dun, 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 what are you talking about, Jimmy? I'm doing the fight for artistry. What do you say? He said, you know, as soon as you could hang around in town and make a few dollars enough to stay here, like everything just kind of locked in amber. And nobody developed, you know. He said when everyone was desperate because you couldn't even make money here doing shows.
Yeah.
You had to either keep working and get really good and have a job out there, or you had to go home. because it was that hard.
Wow.
He said, yes, it was unfair. It was bad. Comedians didn't get paid. Yes, the club owners made a mint and the comedians got paid nothing. But, the turnaround, the crowd was, the herd was thinned,
Right.
very dramatically because you couldn't hang around doing open mics. So, I don't entirely agree with him, but there are a lot of people who are sticking with it who I think would be happier doing something else with their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, on your point of the sad open micer.
Yeah. Oh, God, they were depressing. I saw Jimmy. I worked with him last year at Raleigh, North Carolina. He was doing the closing of Charlie Goodnight's, transferring to the owners. You ever work that club?
Yeah, I did. Love that green room with the curtain and just like a director's chair or something.
I don't remember that.
There isn't a green room really. There's this like little.
No, they have it upstairs
alcove.
now.
Oh, do they? Well,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, they have a different room. Funny. Where do you go now? You got anything you want to plug? I mean, this will be on in December.
Santa's coming.
Santa's coming?
Yeah.
How many kids you got?
I have 4.
Oh, that's great.
Thanks.
What are they? What ages?
My older daughters are all grown up and out of college now.
Oh, my God.
So I have 2 daughters that's 26 and 24 and 22, and my son's in college. He is 18.
See, you've had a real life. I haven't had a real life. I'm an act stuck in a bubble.
When you began, what did you want out of life?
I don't know, to have a podcast.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you
Thank
want to?
Tom.
I mean, what were your
I don't
goals?
know. I didn't really think about it. I just never thought I'd get old. No.
Now, here we are.
Here I am.
Well,
on the precipice of death. You're smart, man.
I think I was smart about it. I tried to be smart about it and do the things that I wanted to do. Like I said, it's not for everybody. I know showbiz, I mean, we're around some very unusual people who are free spirits in some in healthy ways, some in incredibly unhealthy ways. But for me, I wanted, as I said, I wanted to do my show my way and live my life, So whatever. So you meet a girl and you just go, I'd be an idiot to not marry this girl. So I married her.
Really?
Yeah, we have kids. And they're beautiful kids. It's all, it's all good. I mean, it's a struggle. Like we talk about it. You have to work to make a middle class existence in show business. Dad
it's
does
the most
something
unbelievable
unusual.
thing, really. It's
Yeah.
I take my hat off to that because without getting tremendous breaks, but getting breaks all along, and by being talented, you make your own breaks.
Right.
But that's an incredible feat. Like I was telling my friend Julio, who's done what you've done. Like not made $1 billion, but still had a very successful career, and that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got shows coming up, and I work all around. I'm a painter, Don. Did you know that?
No.
I have a gallery, an art gallery in Laguna Beach,
I
California.
thought you meant you were going to paint my house.
Hey,
come
I
on.
would if you want. I would, because I care.
You're a good guy. You're not a bully.
I don't think so. No.
No. Even when you thought no.
No, I don't think I've bullied anybody. No.
You could. With my temperament, I think I would hit more people if I was as big as you. Maybe
You
not.
think you would? Honestly, you wouldn't. You wouldn't.
Smack a couple.
You wouldn't. You know what affected me a lot? A stunt man who was as big as me, he was stunt doubling me.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and stuntmen all have their stories and everything.
yeah,
and I was
stuntmen stories.
I was a kid. So you're like, I'm hanging out with stuntmen. Wow. We're just, hey, sure, I'll have a beer with the stuntmen, of course. What building we gonna jump off this week, fellas? But they're telling these fight stories, and then this guy comes up and whatever, and boom, and so I punch him, and 3 of his teeth stick into my, and I'm, then I'm completely out of it.
Yeah.
I was pretending to be with the tough guys, but I have nothing. I will just pretend that I could kill you, and being an actor, I can convince you of that. And being a bouncer over the Comedy Store, I convinced bikers and guys
that you could really fuck them
that
up.
I could really, really mix it up. And I guess they think, well, it's the Sunset Strip. He's a bouncer. I guess he's probably.
He made it the big time of bouncing.
Yeah, but mostly when I was in fights with guys, I would just kind of get them in a sort of headlock and tackle them to the ground. so I'm not punching and stuff.
Yeah,
Because the stuntman, one of the stuntmen, so I punched this guy, and he went across. He went across the parking lot. And he fell over and he hit his head into a fire hydrant, and then he started bleeding out of his ears. So I ran. I don't know if I killed him or not. And I was like, I'm out of my element. I have no idea what I'm doing here with these guys.
Yeah. Well, Tom, thanks for being on the show, man. It was great having you.
Thanks, buddy.
Glad we became better friends. Tom Wilson, everybody, look for him in a comedy club or theater near you. I will be at. I'll be at the Funny Bone, Rochester Comedy Club, and Tampa Side Splitters in January. Follow me on at Dom Irrera. Follow you.
Tom Wilson USA everywhere, Twitter and Facebook and every kind of thing.
See that? Do it. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. Thank you, Greg.